It's time for this week's episode of Brandon's Sports Talk.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the new Oklahoma Sooners head women's basketball coach, Jennie Baranczk. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to start coaching in college women's basketball?
Yeah, I think, when you play, you kind of fall in love with the game at some point. And I was fortunate enough to be able to do that. And coaching's kind of, I think, just been a part of who I am. And then I got really lucky after college and got some pretty cool opportunities.
What was it like going to Iowa and getting to put on that jersey for them?
Well, I grew up in Iowa, so it was definitely a dream come true. And it was when you get to play for something bigger than yourself, then it's pretty incredible.
How is that like, obviously, getting to play for your hometown?
Yeah, I think, when you, again, like that's the dream here at Oklahoma is you want young Oklahoma players to want to play for their state, because then you're even better than you're supposed to be. And I think that's what's, I got, again, really lucky to be able to do that.
During your time at Iowa, what were some of your biggest accomplishments?
Oh, just your friendships. I know we won some games, we won, championship and all of those things, but just those memories of those road trips and those lasting friendships. And, those are the most important things.
Coming out of your college time, what was it like getting into coaching at Kansas State?
Again, another really incredible opportunity. I was so fortunate to be able to have that experience. I got to go and coach with some of the best coaches. I thought, it was incredible. And it was a really fun time to be there. It was a really experienced team. And even now going back, you look up in the rafters and a lot of those women, their jerseys are retired. So it's pretty cool. It was a really, really cool time.
What were some of your biggest accomplishments as an assistant coach with Kansas State?
Again, watching those players, I mean, it was incredible. I mean, you look at some of those players going on to play in the WNBA. We went from being an NCAA tournament team to the next year being very young and, winning the NIT and watching the fan base grow. I mean, it was a really cool time to be there.
What was the transition like from going from Kansas State, a Power 5 school, to Marquette?
So, at that time, Marquette obviously is in the Big East. But I mean, that was one of the best conferences in the country, if not the best conference in the country at that time. I mean, you had multiple teams. I mean, you had Connecticut in there, you had Rutgers, you had Louisville, all going to Final Fours. I mean, you had Notre Dame going to Final Four. I mean, you had all of these incredible teams. I mean, you're talking 9 teams in the NCAA tournament. So it was an incredible basketball league to be part of and to play against some of the best players in the country. I mean, you played against Olympians multiple times a year. And so it was a really cool time to be there.
What was that like, obviously, going to Marquette and getting to play those top teams?
I mean, it was a battle night in and night out. And it was really fun. I mean, the time was, Angel McCutchery was playing at Louisville, and you had, Maya Moore playing, at UConn with Tina Charles. I mean, they were incredible basketball teams.
What did you learn during your time at Marquette to take to Drake?
Well, I think there were a lot of things that we were able to take, with us in terms of coaching with values in mind, and keeping just the core values of who you are, and that's kind of how you coach. I think for me, I really value being authentic, being obviously you have to have some element of confidence, but I just want them to be able to love what they're doing every day and love who they're doing with. And I think I learned a lot of those things along the way.
What was that feeling like of getting the first opportunity to become a head coach at Drake?
It was incredible. I mean, and I was hired 2 weeks from my due date with my first child. So I wasn't just a head coach for the first time. I was a first time mom. And so there were, a lot of things that I'd go back now and redo and do different. But at the same time, I couldn't have been more excited. And I was literally in my hometown. So I was, right by my parents. I was right by my sister. I mean, it was a really crazy time. But one that has just a really incredible experience.
What was that feeling like at Drake, getting to sit in that first seat on the bench?
Well, I think, when you become a head coach for the first time, I mean, everybody's, quote unquote, prepared. And at the same time, nobody's prepared. And so, because, it's a different vantage point. It's a different, you have all your plans, you have all your vision, you have all of these things. And then, you get there, and sometimes what you think is going to be the most important thing isn't. So I think you just grow, you fall down, you get back up, you roll your sleeves up, you get going. And then you get to surround yourself by some incredible people, whether it's, student athletes or your, different coaches or staff members. I just was really fortunate to have some great people around me.
What's that like, obviously, in 2016, taking Drake to the conference championship and then going to the NCAA tournament?
I think there's, watching some of, players really, really built that program, and to be able to watch, us go from basically, last place to being able to go to the NCAA tournament. I think you watch those women build that program, and it was, at the time, you don't even realize what's happening and how it's going and all of those things. And I don't even think that you realize when you're in it. I think it's just time of reflection. But what an incredible group of women that we got to coach and watch them grow and build something really special.
What was that like, obviously, helping them build something special and going to the NCAA tournament?
Well, when you get to be with your team and coach your team, I don't know if there's anything better. I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's just a really, you watch them grow academically, you watch them grow on the floor, you watch them grow as young women. I mean, you watch them fall down, you watch them get up, you watch them kind of navigate through some things. It's very similar to parenting, I guess, because you're watching that with your own children. But it's also, I don't know if it gets any better. And I think that's also why we do what we're doing.
What was that feeling like for you when you got that call from Oklahoma Sooners to become the new head coach?
Again, another incredible dream come true. I think it's, going through what we were able to do at Drake is really, really special. And I will never forget any of that. And then the opportunity also to be able to come here and be part of this program. I think the women on this team and in this program are just absolutely amazing. It's been incredible. And when you get to work with some incredible administrators too, I think I was able to do that at Drake, and I'm able to do that here. So it's all really awesome stuff.
How was that like, obviously, turning around the Oklahoma Sooners program and making it into a powerhouse again?
Well, I think we have a long way to go before that happens, actually. But I think at the same time, I'm really proud of the way that our women, I mean, that's all the culture and the foundation of these women. I think, obviously they work really hard. And at the same time, they really believe in each other. And I think when you have that combination, there's some magic that can happen. And I think we had some magic this year, and make no mistake, we've got to continue to get better. And that's what we're focusing on right now too.
What was that like, obviously, going in your first year to the NCAA tournament?
Well, I think the NCAA tournament is, I mean, it's amazing. Just the whole idea of March Madness and playing, playing with each other, playing for something really special. I think it's absolutely incredible. And then you have the opportunity to host, I think was really awesome just for our community. So it gives us a little snapshot of what we want to continue to do in this program.
How's that like, obviously, getting to host a tournament?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome for your fan base. It was awesome to come out. We played at 9 o'clock on a Saturday night, and we come out and and our arena it had just incredible energy. And so I think it's really fun for community. It's really fun for our fan base. And it's an amazing opportunity for our young women.
Who are some of the big teams that you face night in and night out in your conference?
Every team in the Big 12 is great. I mean, that's what's so special about this league is, there are everybody's different. I mean, there's some high level talent, and you have to be ready every single day. And I don't even mean just on game days. You have to be ready every day to practice, to prepare. And so, yeah, I mean, we have just an incredible league.
What are some of your future plans for this Oklahoma Sooners program?
Just to continue to get better, continue to have fun, continue to recruit some amazing women that are great basketball players and even better people. And to watch these women succeed on the court, off the court, in this community, to become leaders. We want them to just literally just set the world on fire and just have an incredible experience in their time here. And that's the goal. That's always been the goal, and that will always be the goal.
What does a typical game day look like for you as head coach?
Well, I think from a game day standpoint, I mean, you do as much preparation as you possibly can prior to that point, and then you kind of review everything when you go to your shoot around, and you have moments with your team where you're together, and then their warm up begins and the game begins. I mean, the feeling you get on game day is just unmatched. I mean, that's what keeps us all going. And, it feels like you don't have enough games. And at the same time, those games just mean so much, and it's not even the winning or losing. It's just that sparking of energy that, you get to be on a sideline and you get to cheer and you get to watch these women compete at a really high level, and you get to be part of it. I don't know if any other profession gets to do what we get to do. And I think it's just incredible.
What's that like, obviously, getting to play Texas, Kansas, and Texas Tech in your conference?
Well, like I said, every team in our league is so good. I mean, and those, the three teams that you mentioned, they're all different, completely different styles. They're different. They have different styles of play. They have different athletes, but they're all so good. And I think from that standpoint, it's fun to have to prepare differently for every opponent.
What are some of the game day traditions that you've helped implement so far?
I don't know if we have any game day traditions that we've implemented. I think, again, it's just about having fun. It's about, every day is different. And so, I know some of our players have some superstitions, but, from my standpoint, you just want to go in and have fun every game.
What does the recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to play college women's basketball?
I think, again, the recruiting process, I think, is very different for every player. And, for women's basketball, it starts fairly young. And, we really try to do our homework in terms of our evaluations and being able to build relationships. And so, there's a lot of times that players are very, very good, and you really want them to be part of your program. And so, you really try to develop a relationship with them, and developing a relationship looks differently for everybody. And so we talk to a lot of different people, We like when people are able to come to campus. It's been really nice to be able to, when we had COVID, everything kind of shut down and everything was virtual. And so we're back in the live space. And that's fun. It's fun to go out and watch these women compete. And it's fun to have them come on campus and really get to know them. And, whether you FaceTime, whether you Zoom call, whether you're just on a phone call or you're texting, it just depends on what each person wants.
Of course, as a Power 5 college head coach, what is some of the things that you look at in these prospective student athletes when on the road?
I mean, obviously you watch their skill level and what they can bring offensively and defensively. And because there's so much talent and it's fun to be able to watch that. And then you really try to watch whose skill set really fits, your system and your style. And, but we also watch a lot of the intangibles. How hard do people play? Are they having fun when they play? Do they, are they great teammates? All of those kinds of things. I mean, we watch the same thing. When you're watching even parents, like you kind of want to get to know them too.
What does the official visit look like for Oklahoma Sooners women's basketball program?
So we like to bring people in, whether it's the spring or the fall, and really, again, just get to know them. Obviously, there's tours of campus, there's meetings with, whether it's our athletic director or whether it's our, some of our other coaches from other sports. Sometimes players like to do that too. Sometimes we go to a football game. That's kind of fun. But it's really about spending time, and it gives them an opportunity not just to spend time with coaches, because a lot of times the coaches are part of the recruiting process. It really lets them dive into what it is like every day with their, potential future teammates. So that's a huge part of what we do too, because we want our team to be able to be part of our recruiting process too.
What's it like, obviously, as a head coach, seeing the recruits get to put on that jersey on the official visit and fall in love with that Sooners red?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to be able to see that. And I think it's really neat to be able to watch their parents in that space too.
What are some of your future plans as you look in the next 5 years?
I don't know. I think it's again to continue to pour into this program to build, continue to build something really special. But I think we have great women in this program right now, and we're going to have great women in 5 years from now. So we want to continue to compete at the highest possible level that we can while having an incredible experience.
What advice would you give those prospective student athletes looking to play college basketball?
I think some of the best advice is to really hone in on who you are and to match that with where you're going and to really find out what's important to you. It's less about the school and more about, and what I mean by that is it's not just the name of a school. It's not just where it is. It's not just that. It's really finding out what's important to you and allowing that to change, because sometimes those things evolve over time. And so really identifying what that is, and then understanding too that everyone's recruiting process is different. So try to not be comparative and just be able to trust your gut.
What advice would you give those college basketball players looking to play professionally, whether it's Athletes Unlimited or the WNBA or even overseas?
Well, I think again, you got to love this game. Find your niche, find what you're really good at and hone in on that. I think there's certain training and there's certain skill sets that you've got to have to be able to do those things, but to go after it, to dream big, but also, do all those little things to get there. And I think there's a lot of opportunity, and yet it's a very competitive world. So it's really loving what you do and going for it. I mean, you got to work really hard to be able to do that. But, when you can compete at a really high level, those opportunities are pretty incredible.
What advice would you give future college coaches looking to get started in the industry of coaching?
Probably the same thing, start at any level you can. Do as much as you possibly can to make the people around you as good as they possibly can be. And I think that's whether it's, doing really little things. Don't underestimate your value. Don't overestimate your value. I think you just do whatever the team needs, and those things are going to continue to find you.
What advice would you give those coaches looking to get started as a head coach for the first time in their coaching career?
same thing, have your plan, be prepared, but also be flexible, and I think sometimes, as head coach, I know as an assistant coach, there's a lot of things I go back now. But I think, find your mentors, ask those questions. But also just be the best you can where your feet are instead of constantly ready for that next thing. So I think one of the best pieces of advice I've ever received is every job that you have, act like it's the last job you're ever going to have, and you're going to just be the best you can possibly be. And although things might change, as long as you're really in that space and you're there, and then you make that place the best it can possibly be. And I think that's sometimes easier said than done.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media, along with the Oklahoma Sooners women's basketball program at?
Yep. So we are on all mediums of social media. So I know from a standpoint, you can follow us on Twitter, and that's just OU Women's Basketball. It's on Instagram. I think we have a Facebook page, and the same for me. So we're out there.
Thank you again, Coach Jean, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as you begin this coaching career at Oklahoma Sooners.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Have a great day. Boomer.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Jean, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.